Hey traders, and welcome to Stock Talk on September 18th. We're looking at the chart that is the S&P 500, and what a fascinating day we had today. And you guys can see just from the size of these candles that we have some really massive fluctuations from the highs and lows of the day, right? And this is partially impacted by what? Well, of course, once again, is the tariffs. So after market yesterday, the Trump administration came out with the news of $200 billion imposed of tariffs on China, with a 10% tariff that will increase to 25% by the end of the year. And that is just, something that we really expected. It wasn't a big deviation from what we expected, and initially we did see the futures dropping, but then we saw futures reversing overnight, and we ended up significantly in the positive by the end of the day. And this was something that I announced on the Discord chat when we saw this kind of movement, the reversal that is. Now, looking at S&P 500 and the big picture, you guys can see that these candles are hard to, if you guys can imagine, if you're trying to day trade or if you're trying to short, your shorts are getting cut off. If you're trying to go, especially shorting, it is more risky, as we are on a definitive uptrend, right? We have a higher high and a higher low pattern. You guys can see these support lines. The near-term support is at 287.56. The resistance continues to be around the 294 area. And, if you guys are shorting, it's just certainly more difficult to do so. I'm not saying that it is impossible, but if you're shorting on an uptrend, the chances in terms of getting an entry, a correct entry and a correct exit, is harder. And it's harder to short the market, in my opinion, than to go just long with the market. And that's just how it is as we are maintaining this trend. Notice that in the past, I've talked to you guys in previous stock talks how this area is the support area, right? And I just told you 287.56 around that area. This area is the support. And, if I didn't tell you that this was the yearly chart, and if I showed you this, let's say, as the 180-day chart, or even the 3-year chart, and you see that we broke out of the yearly high and we back tested it, you would have said that this would have been a pretty nice pretty nice move back to the upside, right? And this is just how kind of trends go. So what am I looking for right now in terms of the general market movement? Now that the tariffs, and we're digesting the tariffs, and the news has come out in terms of certain whatever that's been imposed right now, China might respond. That's all well and good, but the economy fundamentally is still strong, right? And you guys can see that, we're likely to push towards more all-time highs given today's movement. So, but if we don't push higher, we've caught the 20-period moving average several times as a support, and like I said before, if we do come down, 287.56 is a likely support. I would look for some sort of reversal back to the upside, but right now it seems like the markets are continuing to push forward. All right, let's take a look. Oh, one other thing that people are talking about, taking you guys to maybe a longer term 3-year chart, is a lot of people are talking about, are we kind of running out of gas, right? Because traders are kind of fatigued or exhausted from this massive uptrend run. So if I remove these lines, I'm not going to do it right now, but if I remove these lines, and you guys can see that in the past few years, yes, we've had a massive up move, right? We've had a massive up move, but what did we do? Once again, from this bigger picture, you can see that we consolidated. This is almost like a consolidation pattern, and before the next move higher. So one can almost argue that, this is the uptrend, we consolidated. Is this the continuation move back to the upside? It could very well be, and that is why, in my opinion, it's harder to go short the market than go long the market. Because if you're shorting, you're almost guessing where the top is. And if you guys can imagine, if we're nearing all-time highs and making all-time highs and you're trying to guess a short, that's very difficult to do, right? You guys can imagine. So, all right. Let's take a look at TVIX. So I do apologize that I didn't tackle TVIX yesterday, or volatility. I didn't remember that I thought I tackled everything, but for the most part, you guys can see that volatility hit an all-time low yesterday, and today we pretty much made yet another flat candle. Are we setting up a base for that possible push higher? We could, as you guys can see, we could be setting up a possible base for the next push higher. However, we don't really see a sign of a trend change or a reversal back to the downside for the general markets. That's number one. And number two, you guys can imagine if you're playing something like volatility, you know, at what point are you willing to get out of a trade should you make a profit, right? And that's a very difficult question because, you know, here's your possible, you know, reward should it reverse. We don't see that sign yet, right? Should it go back up? But there's a lot of downside to this, right? As this is a declining ETF, right? This is a declining ETF. So where's the next area in which we could fall? We could certainly go lower and make all-time lows. By no means does this have to push higher. So that's just something for you guys to be a little bit cautious about as you're moving forward. If you guys enjoy these videos before I tackle commodities, please, once again, if you're on your phone, tap the like button. Or if you're on the computer, just click that like button. Again, I appreciate all the likes, and you know, you guys might be doing it every day, and I look at all of your comments, and I do look at, you know, the thumbs up and as well as the constructive feedback that you guys give. So very good, keep that coming. And yeah, let's move on to /CL. Guys, once again, if you guys do enjoy, you know, these kind of stock talks, do enjoy these analysis, you guys can really do this yourself given the right tool set, you know, at home and really on a daily and a minute hour basis, right? While the market's constantly trading, I'm looking at various patterns and finding these patterns, and you could really do that too. Right now I'm doing a stock talk after the fact, after the market day, but what am I doing during the market day? Of course, looking at these trends, right? Looking at commodities, looking at all these stocks and tickers and these ETFs. So one way you guys can do this is, of course, you can sign up for the course. The link is in the description box down below. And you guys can join the Discord group chat. And I give you, you know, you guys can ask some of the Discord members, you know, I give you guys lengthy explanations in terms of the trends that I see, and a lot of it and the majority of it does play out. So, you know, this is something that you guys can do yourself. All right, enough of that. Let's take a look at /CL or crude oil futures. Now, crude oil futures we talked about in terms of, you know, a move to the upside, and such that if we don't close 67.55, that would be the break, you know, taking the bullish case, the short-term bullish case off the table, but we were still on an uptrend. Today, what did we do? Can you guys see how the top of the candle today, or the peak, nearly hit the resistance line of 70.27? Can you guys see that? So I'm going to show you guys. Here's 70.17. Guys, again, I don't change support and resistance lines, and this is why it's accurate, and I like to be as accurate as possible down to the penny if possible. It doesn't happen to the penny all the time, but certainly to the dollar, right? So here's the resistance, 70.27, and where did we hit today? Very close to resistance, 70.17, before we got rejected once again. However, I have to reiterate that we are still on an uptrend, right? And we've tested this resistance a couple of times. So crude oil still looking good in my opinion. There's really nothing wrong with this chart in terms of a possible, we haven't seen it yet, but a possible break of this resistance. Should we break this resistance, our next resistance would be at 74.31, but we'll wait until that. UWT is just one that follows crude oil. You guys can see UWT went up over 4.5%, which followed with the crude oil move back higher, and that's that. All right, /NG natural gas. All right, you guys know what I'm gonna say for natural gas, right? So with natural gas, so one of the members on the YouTube, and I talked about him yesterday, I think it was Brolick, right? I'll have to pull that up, but yeah, believe it was, let me just refresh this for you. I think it was Brolick, and you pointed out a very nice trend in terms of a higher low pattern, which has played out. And you guys can see actually the higher low pattern on the yearly chart if I just made this line that went like this, right? So I didn't have that. I was looking for still a retest. However, it would be normal to see what? A continuation move back to the upside for natural gas. And today we saw a continuation move back to the upside, right? Following this higher low line. And now where's the resistance? Well, you guys have to ask yourself, well, one of the resistances, this is just going, so the resistance really is at, once again, 2.988, around that area. That's the major resistance. How are we heading there? We're heading there rather quickly. That's a great trend. And remember, this is natural gas continues to look bullish in this chart. UGAZ follows natural gas. So if you guys were to look into natural gas, you know, it was up over 11% today. What a move today by natural gas. And as futures push higher, I would expect UGAZ to push higher as well. All right. Yes, we are a little bit overextended. You know, I wouldn't be surprised once again for /NG to what? Perhaps consolidate a little bit down here before that next. That's perfectly normal. All said and good and done. Okay. The next one is /GC or gold futures. Now, gold futures today pretty much didn't fall, just a tad bit. However, you guys can see that it hasn't really moved that much, right? So we talked about a bull flag trajectory that's likely to play on the upside in the near term. However, if you look at the long term, it's not that convincing in terms of break above the resistance of 1210. So I'd really want to see a break above the resistance 1210, 1211, and especially close above there with a more impulsive move. I don't want to see like a false breakout like something like this in the past. I do want to see some impulsive move to the upside. Right now it's kind of flat. When will that day come? You know, that's anyone's guess, and therefore I don't like to be guessing at that. I'm curious, I'm watching, but not taking a trade as we are in the low. And if we were to get into a trade, in my opinion, there's certainly a lot of room for natural gas or for /GC or gold futures to move higher. So should we find that reversal area, that's great. We'll have plenty of time. It won't go up all in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, guys. It's going to take several days, perhaps weeks, if it starts going higher. All right, let's take a look at a couple of your tickers today. So Reza will tackle yours first, and nice to have your opinion on TMV. Thanks for keeping YouTube Stock Talk videos after launching the course. Absolutely, guys. And you know, I think most of you who signed up for the course came from YouTube. So of course, you know, you guys, I'm here for you guys as always. It's not like, you know, I'm doing a course and all of a sudden I'm abandoning YouTube, right? We're all a team. We're all doing this together, like I said yesterday, and that's what we're here for. All right, TMV. So this is an ETF. That's interesting. So Treasury, 20-year Treasury. Okay, let's take a look at this really quick. Yeah, so just looking at this trend in the past, right? We're looking at the 3-year chart. The one thing that we're really looking for this one is, yes, it's on a short-term uptrend. I do agree. But look how, the first thing we're going to look at is how the volume's dying down. Sure, this week hasn't closed, so I do agree. This candle doesn't put much weight. However, the volume has been lowered. And the one thing you see is this 150-period moving average has actively acted as a resistance. So what is more interesting to note is how we close this week. If we can close this week above this resistance area, for example, if we close right here, then there could be possible higher prices to come in the near future. But, you know, first of all, we do have resistance at this moving average. Second of all, we have a resistance that's pretty sound at 21.75, right? You guys can see that it's at 21.75. That's really close. So you have to evaluate your risk and reward ratio to see if that is worth your time with this one. Thank you for talking about or calling out this one. I guess I talked about it. JA, so hey Kevin, do you trade stocks on a daily basis? So yes, I do trade stocks on a daily basis. However, on some days I don't have to trade it, right? Because I just hold it and just let it play out. I mean, I don't have to trade it on a daily basis. I mostly do swing trades. I don't do as many day trades just because I find it more risky to do day trades. And, you know, this is just something that I prefer, something that works for me. Okay. K9, IQ. It's been a while since we visited IQ, right? So IQ is one that's been on everyone's radar back over here, right? This was in May and June of this year. And then we've had this really, you know, massive decline to the downside. And I mentioned IQ several times in the past in terms of I don't see any potential in this one. First, we have to see a definitive sign of reversal. One, right? Did we ever get that? No, right? No, we never, and I really never went into the bullish case for IQ. So this one is continuously moving downwards. People are comparing this to Netflix and of China. And if you were to compare this to Netflix of China, then you should question why Netflix went up over almost 5% today, whereas IQ went down. Because most times, it's interesting to note that when Netflix goes up, sometimes IQ goes up. But today didn't do that. So regardless, you guys can see this once again points to a more weaker kind of stock. This is not something that shows an active reversal, and therefore really nothing doing here. Right? All right. The last one I will tackle is from Dinesh. So Dinesh, yesterday we tackled your ticker MU. Today we'll tackle your ticker LRCX. And guys, you guys can submit the tickers down below in the comment section for me to take a look at, as always. LRCX. Very interesting. Hold on. Let's take a look at this one. Ooh, okay. So LRCX, wow, this one is certainly oversold. So there is likely a bounce at some point from here to near the 20-period moving average or higher. That's number one. Number two, the thing about this is we've had an extended uptrend, okay? And wow. Okay, this one moved lower than what we initially expected. Okay. Wow, that's a rather rapid decline if I did it like that. I'm actually going to take this trend line out. So this one's a little harder to visualize. I think in the near term, we are overextended in terms of a bottom. So there could be some sort of bounce up. I would look for the 20-period moving average as a possible resistance. So that is situated and will situate around 167. So short term, there might be a bounce. Long term, I need to see a sign of reversal. Just don't see it right now. Just don't see it. This looks like an active period of decline. So obviously, right? Let's look at the yearly chart really quick. Just okay, active period decline, some consolidation patterns. Yeah, this yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully, you guys once again learned something from it. Today is Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to do another stock talk for you guys tomorrow, Wednesday. What an interesting day every day has been, guys. This is incredible. So keep an eye on the futures, and we'll see how tomorrow shapes out. But right now, we talked about trends today for the markets, and of course, hopefully you guys will have a happy trading day tomorrow, and I will see you guys later.